Hey guys, it's Terry from The Statement Show. Hey, you want a free audiobook? I'm going to tell you how to do it, okay? You go to thestatementshow.com, click on the Audible link, choose from over 180,000 titles. Zach, 180,000 titles. Now, I know you love some audible.com, right?
Absolutely. Recently, I've gotten another Adam Carolla book. I get him out of sequence, so I think this is the first one he did, but it's called In 50 Years We'll All Be Chicks. And it's basically him just going through his whole life, but he narrates it and kind of does a lot of off-the-cuff stuff, and so you're getting a lot more than what's in the book. So, because he likes to just kind of put his own little spin on it, but I'm going to tell you what, I wouldn't do it any other way. It's fantastic for long car rides and for commuters.
Yeah, and anywhere. You can listen anywhere. You know, listen to your books wherever you are. You've got a free app at home, in the car, at the gym, whatever. Look, man, you got 30 days of membership for free. Plus, guess what? You get a book on us to get it started absolutely free. I don't know how much better it could get, to be honest with you. Easy exchange. Just look,
no risk.
Sure, you don't love the book, swap it for free anytime. It's such a great deal. Again, go to thestatementshow.com, click on the affiliates link. You're going to see it sitting right there. Audible.com, click on it, go to it right then and there. Right now, stop what you're doing. Go to thestatementshow.com. Click on the affiliates link, click on audible.com, get yourself a free audiobook. You're going to love it. They got A-list celebrities narrating their favorite stories. Again, 180,000 titles. We're talking about Grammy award-winning audiobooks here. Again, try it for free. 30 days, you still get to keep the audiobook. You don't like it, cancel it out afterwards. But you can't say The Statement Show didn't give you anything in the process.
TheStatementShow.com, the affiliate link, and click Audible. Enjoy the book.
Yo, what up? It's Brian Brushwood from the Modern Rogue, and you're listening to The Statement Show with Zach and Terry.
From the Night Shift Crew Studios in the DC metro area, this is The Statement Show. The lights are on.
Hey guys, this is Brie Olson. This is Jackie Joy.
I'm Jim Harold from the Paranormal Podcast.
Hey, this is your Olympic hero, Kurt Angle.
Hi, this is Lillian Garcia from the WWE.
Hello, everybody. It's Tony Todd.
Hi, this is Zach Ward.
Howdy, y'all. This is Michael Hawk, Green Beret combat veteran and TV personality. You're listening to The Statement Show with Zach and Terry, so get ready to make a statement.
Welcome back to The Statement Show. I'm Terry James.
And I'm Zach Chahi, and we are the podcast that fits a no category.
Today's guest is Brian Brushwood, magician, scammer, social manipulator, expert life hacker, podcaster. Hell, Brian's even got 2 Billboard #1 comedy albums, not to mention the host of Scam School for Discovery, Hacking the System for NatGeo. You can also see Brian on his own show, Night Attack, and The Modern Rogue on YouTube. However, tonight, he decided to finally make something of himself and come on our show. Brian, welcome to The Statement Show.
Man, when you list it all in a row, it sounds dangerously close to being significant. I'm just like, man, this guy sounds awesome. I want to meet him.
Right.
Yeah, never mind the Tonight Show and Penn and Teller. I mean, now you're on our
forget
show.
About that. Who? Jay Leno? Who's that? I've never heard of that guy.
Dude, guys, thank you so much for having me on. I'm super, super excited to be here.
Absolutely, man. We greatly appreciate you coming on. And I wanted to start actually by saying this. I'm going to kind of get my fandom out of the way for 1 second, because I have been a fan of yours for quite some time now. And I first saw you on Scam School years back. And I'm going to tell you why. This is what made me love you. You made magic fun because you taught everyone the trick, which actually worked out because it was unusual, because magicians normally keep their secrets so closely guarded. And you were coming along saying, no, I'm going to teach you how to do it. Did you take a lot of shit for that? Was that for actually revealing those tricks, or were people pretty cool with you?
So here's the funny part. Like, I think oftentimes when people are successful, they chalk it up to luck. But I truly think I was just lucky, because the time that we launched Scam School was right around the time that nobody really knew what to make of video on the internet. Specifically, there's nothing new about teaching magic. Magicians have a saying: if you want to hide it, put it in a book, right? And if you went to the Dewey Decimal System in your own high school library, you would go to 793.8, and there would be all the secrets that you could possibly want to know about magic. Now, on the other side, you had, and magicians were cool with all this. On the flip side, you had stuff like the Magician Secrets Exposed specials, the Masked Magician stuff, right?
Right.
And so when Scam School launched, I was really curious and terrified, but also, I mean, I went for it. I was like, shoot, is video on YouTube, is that television? In which case that would be exposure. That would just be me ruining the secrets of magic. Or is it a library? In which case everybody would agree that that's the right way to learn magic for free. It's been kind of a mushy 5 years as magicians have been hashing it out, but it seems as though, especially like, I don't know any magician under the age of 25 that didn't learn magic from the internet. And now we're at a place where it's like, it's less a question of, is it appropriate to teach magic on the internet? And now we're in a place where it's like, okay, well, who should you credit? What permission should you have? Obviously, you don't want to just buy a DVD for $20 and then just reveal the secrets. That's a jerk maneuver. So as a result, like, by being focused and magic first and focused on, crediting the appropriate people for everything we teach on there, I think somehow I threaded the stone needle on that. Maybe once or twice there's been a trick or two that some magicians have felt like they're like, well, that's my favorite trick, so now you're a jerk. And that's fine. But in general, I think that magicians have accepted that the future of learning magic is through video tutorials on the internet.
You're right. Because it's for someone like myself who, I love to do like magic card tricks. But what you do is a whole other. Woo, that's good stuff. I mean, I'm more the lines of the clown that's with the 4-year-old parties, blowing up balloons. Sure. And
by the way, record, those are much harder gigs than performing for adults. Adults understand the nature of theatrics and they know to stay focused or whatever. 4-year-olds don't know that. They'll shout out randomly like, I'm bored. Stop. Yeah.
You're so right. I know where you put that. Don't even try that. Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's like, you don't want to get in an argument with a 5-year-old where it's just like, no, you think it was over here, but it's not. Go ahead. Stick your hand down my pants and feel that. Okay. Not appropriate.
So for our listeners who aren't quite 100% sure of you, can you give a little background about yourself? How you started, was it always something that is magic your number one thing from the very beginning, or what did you want to do if you weren't being a magician?
When I was 11 years old, I pulled my mom aside. I'm like, Mom, I'm super worried. I'm just afraid that when I'll be an adult, all the magic jobs will be taken up. And but then I fell away from magic, and it wasn't until I went to college that I picked it back up as a hobby. And I never ever thought that magic would be a full-time gig. I always thought it would be something I would do on the side, like I'll be a corporate warrior and also know magic tricks. But then by the time I graduated, I had a decent little 30-minute show that I would perform at various gigs. And then in the back of my mind, it was always like, one of these days I'll give magic a try. That'd be great. And then I was 25 years old, and then I got a raise at my day job. And then it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, oh, crap. This is how it happens. This is how you end up doing something you hate for the rest of your life, is the money just gets too good to walk away from. And I thought it through. I was like, I can either be one of those people who does very well in corporate America, but quietly, secretly always wondered what might have been if I had gone for it. And I said, or I can just take a year off, go for it, see what happens. And in worst case scenario is I rack up $30,000 of debt and I'm just like everybody else I know. I'll call it student debt, whatever. And 1 year later, so I quit my day job as a direct result of this raise. I was just like, yeah, peace out. And a year later, I had made garbage money, but the way to succeed was so clear to me at that point. Like, all it takes is following this system and doing lots and lots of really hard work, making a lot of cold calls, traveling all over the United States and so on. And then basically for the next 4 years, I was able to double my income. And then at some point I looked up and I'm like, wow, I'm 33 years old and touring the country nonstop. And then it's like, what's next? And so I flirted with a TV deal. And then that totally folded. And then out of that frustration came this desire to, like, I just got to get in front of camera. I got to learn how to talk in front of a camera, how to be interesting, how to tell stories. So I just started doing these little vignettes called Brian Brushwood on the Road. And out of that, I realized that the best parts of those were when I was teaching magic to other people. So I came up with the idea of Scam School. I took it to Revision 3, which later got bought by Discovery. And I guess the rest writes itself. At that point, I started just being a dumbass who talks in front of a camera from
I was reading how you really started out. You got like a magician kit when you were a kid, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah. As a matter of fact, that was one of the best parts of Christmas this last year is when I was a kid, 1982, Jesus. I got 83. I got a Siegfried and Roy 150 magic trick kit. And I was super excited, read about 0 of the instructions, got up, announced I was going to do a show for the family. Everybody gathered around, and it was so hilariously bad that it's actually how I opened my show today. I play a copy from that Betamax tape of me screwing up all the tricks. And then, so this year for Christmas, I got for my 9-year-old daughter, I got her the Penn Teller Fool Everyone magic kit. And it was utterly adorable because she did the exact same thing. She half watched some of the instructions and announced she was ready to do a show, and we all gathered around and watched her. She did better than me. She actually pulled off most of the tricks. But yeah, no, it's magic is an infectious drug that gets you early on.
I mean, I agree. I don't know why. I've never been good at magic by any means, but it's just been something that there was this one trick, and obviously the easiest thing in the world for you. But basically, what you would do is you would force the person to take a particular card, you put it back in the deck, you would throw it up against a window, and then it would be on the outside of the window. Oh, sure. And then they go through, hey, how did that happen? That fools someone every single time, but it's that one trick that I have in my bag of tricks, if you will, that seems to be the one that everyone loves. But to be honest with you, that's as far as my magic goes. I can take like a little, like an M&M or something and hide it in my hand and put another one, wow, there's 2 now, but that's my, that's as much as my magician goes. But, for you, man, what I love though is, I'm watching these shows and I'm seeing you do the whole nail in the eye thing and eating fire and like that right there. That has to be completely different than taking out a deck of cards and going through some tricks. That probably takes a little bit more preparation, I suppose.
Yeah, well, so one of the things that is, I would say, fairly unusual about my show is that I call what I do bizarre magic because I don't want people thinking that I'm appropriate to book for their kid's birthday party or whatever. And truthfully, like the first 3 things I do in the stage show, I walk out and I do a 5-minute history of fire eating thing. Then I do the human blockhead, which is an old sideshow stunt where you take a 4.5-inch nail and hammer it right into your sinus cavity. Then I did the human crazy straw, where I wrap 30 feet of tubing around my body, run it up my nose, pull it out my mouth, and then connect it to a tank filled with milk, and then flip the switch, and you watch the milk wind around my body like I'm a human crazy straw finally going up my nose and shooting out my mouth. So 3 segments in, you have not seen any magic, and yet you're here ostensibly for what's called a bizarre magic show. And then the 4th routine starts, and it's one where it looks like I'm learning a magic trick about how to shove a skewer through my tongue, but everything goes wrong. So basically, you watch me shove a skewer through my tongue after somebody inspects my tongues and make sure everything's totally fine. You watch me jab a skewer through it, and then the twist is I allegedly did the trick wrong, and so I respond by cutting off my tongue. And what's great about that is the first 3 routines, because everything is exactly the way it pretends to be. Like I really do eat fire, I really do shove a nail in my nose, I really do run a tube up my nose out my mouth, and all that stuff. So by the time you see me shove a skewer through my tongue, you're like, yeah, whatever. We know you're a weirdo. That's fine. and then it's not until I'm halfway through cutting off my tongue that all of a sudden people are like, wait, what? In their blood flowing down my chin and so on. It's like, oh, that's right. It's a magic show. And so the blending of real things with totally fake things has been one of my favorite things, because I wanted to keep everyone on their toes, keep them not entirely sure, like, well, wait a minute, the other thing was real and the other thing was fake. What is this? And that's the way I want people to feel the entire show.
So, let me ask real quick. The whole magician, illusionist, do you feel like they're the same thing, or do they kind of like mirror the same line? Like what Houdini does, or David Copperfield?
Yeah.
Sure. You know what? I don't even know myself. Everybody just makes up their own words. It's all branding, right? Mm-hmm. Like I intentionally add the word bizarre in front of magic because I want people to know that whatever you think magic is, this is going to be a bit off kilter from that. My friend Mike Super does a fantastic illusion show, but he doesn't want to call it illusion because that makes you think of David Copperfield, which might feel cheesy to some groups. So he calls himself a mystifier, which is, totally fine because he does incredible mentalism and so on. Speaking of which, mentalism, my friend Banachek calls himself a mentalist, mainly because nobody knows what the word mentalist means, and he gets to project onto that word whatever he wants. So, in general, when you hear the word illusion, they're usually talking about big, flashy boxes and ladies vanishing from one area and showing up in another. In general, when you hear mentalist, they're talking about mind reading, kind of mind control stuff, creating the illusion that they have a sixth sense. And then when you think of magic show, I guess, I don't know, you think of some overweight 50-year-old in seats.
with the hot assistants. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You got to have the beautiful assistant.
Hot assistant who's definitely not his wife.
Oh man.
Who do you rank up there as like your favorite magicians?
I gotta tell you, I'm they say swans pair bond for life. When I was in second grade, I saw Penn and Teller on television, and I had never seen anything like it. Like, I had seen magicians be amazing, incredible, stupefying, but I had never seen magicians be cool. They were so cool that for years they refused to even call themselves magicians.
Right.
And that was fascinating to me. And then when I was 19 years old, I wrote an email to Teller saying, "Hey, up yours, old man. I love what you do, but because you got there first, whatever I do is going to look like a copycat. So here's a finger in your butt, jerk." And then, to my astonishment, the next morning I woke up and there was a 4.5-page essay from Teller on the nature of creativity, on what it takes to make it as a magician. And it was just the most inspiring thing I've ever encountered. And you can find it if you type in, Brian Brushwood Teller letter. Yeah, I'm sure you'll.
Oh, yeah. I've listened to some of his podcasts that he does. He's on the Adam Carolla Network, and he does some of those. Trying to remember what Sunday School, I think it is. Or
sure.
Sunday School.
Yeah, you're thinking of Penn. Penn's the one who talks.
Penn, yes. Oh, so Teller's the one to send. Oh.
Yeah, Penn talks and Teller writes polite, insightful emails. That's how you remember that.
So have you ever actually, I'm going to assume you're not going to say, but have you ever actually heard Teller talk?
Oh, dude. On stage, Teller only talks as a gag. Off stage, you can't shut him up. He's got thoughts about it.
Yeah. Oh, my God. I wonder if he's the brains behind the operation. But
no, Penn will tell you straight up, man. When it comes to Teller's one of the most thoughtful. He loves magic more than any individual I've ever encountered. He deeply cares. In that letter, that essay that he sent me, he wrote something that I don't even know if he realizes how poignant it was. He says, here's a compositional secret. It is so simple that you will say to yourself, this man is bullshitting me. But I'm telling you, this is truth. He said, if you want to create a great magic routine, here's the secret. Surprise me. And specifically, I love the way he framed surprise me. He said, put 2 and 2 in front of me, convince me it's 5, and then reveal the truth 4 and blow me away. And there's something about the idea that magic, like the idea that all of magic is not lies, but instead that we present everything to you. Everything is totally fair. It's you who gets stuck on thinking of the wrong thing, and that we just reveal the truth for and blow you away. I always thought was particularly poignant.
What was that like going on Penn and Teller Fool Us? Because I thought your trick was absolutely amazing, but I guess getting a chance to perform in front of, I would say, role models, I suppose, but
it felt I felt like I was watching the Brian Brushwood show, though. You stole the show.
You did steal the show. You were great.
So here's what happened. I got an email from the Penn and Teller crew, and I forwarded it over to Teller like, I guess I'm ineligible, right? And then, because Teller and I had, there's not a single part of my stage show that Teller hasn't personally watched and hasn't personally given feedback that has been meaningful to shaping the routines. And I just assumed like, oh, how hilarious. They reached out to me not knowing that we know each other. And Teller, to his credit, said, oh, no, you should totally do it. We have friends on the show all the time. We literally are prohibited from knowing anything. It's a great experience. You should consider doing something. And so I was like, wow, okay. So, and then sure enough, I look online and it's like some of the other people that I knew were going to be on the same year I was were the talented Matt King, who I know has been a friend of Penn and Tellers for forever. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, let's go for it. And the one rule they said is do whatever you want, no card tricks. And the reason they said that is because everybody has a card trick that they're very, very proud of, and very few of them, like they only have 4 card trick slots, and all those card trick slots were full. And so I was like, well, I want to do something that I don't care whether or not they know. I want it to be something that I don't have to worry about, something that is inherently fun and funny, that I could just be relaxed and have a good time and do a good showcase. And so normally that psychic surgery trick is done with a card. I have a card selected and a card signed, and the card it gets pulled out of their guts. And so I was like, well, I think I could take this one and remake it into a vanishing dollar bill that shows up elsewhere. Mm-hmm. And they're like, yeah, that'll be great. So that was not the smartest thing I've ever done, because it meant that I had to create hundreds of identical $1 bills, which there are many methods to get there. All of them extraordinarily tedious, extraordinarily difficult. And so I did. I created hundreds of exactly identical bills so that I could do this, so that one could be selected and vanish and then appear somewhere else. But then going out to do it, it was a total blast, man. Mm-hmm. It's very, very clear that the conceit of the show is you're supposed to fool Penn and Teller. It's equally clear the moment you come in, all they care about is do a good show, look good, be entertaining. Also, by the way, if you bother to fool them, good for you. You know, it's like nobody. I mean, there's a reason that the Penn and Teller Fool Us trophy prominently says the letters "FU." I mean, it's like it really is a middle finger to the entire conceit that anything about what they're doing is on purpose or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this is turning into the Penn and Teller show. But I love watching them too. They were great. Because when I grew up, I liked, I was always into like Houdini. And I remember the very first movie that I saw, some movie they did about Houdini's life. And I was always very interested in Houdini. And then, of course, it transferred to David Copperfield because he was just fantastic on TV and all of his stunts. Dude, so
Copperfield is continuing to kill it. I saw his stage show out in Vegas last year, and it's like, there is some demon inside him that causes him to work harder and think faster than anyone else. Like the dude's made all the money on the planet, and yet he's still doing 2 to 3 shows a day at the MGM on Vegas. Like that doesn't come from a desire to make a paycheck. That comes from somebody who wants to die knowing for a fact he was the best magician in his lifetime.
I just saw a video with him not too long ago. He looks the same age. I mean, does this guy age?
Yeah, no, he,
speaking of the pact with a demon or something.
Yeah,
holy hell.
No, he looks great. He'll always look great. He's David Copperfield. What are you going to
do? Oh man, I was watching, I'm watching some of your past videos and everything, and that hairstyle of yours, obviously you retired it, but man, that had to be a hell of a trademark. You were really known for that for a long time.
Yeah, people ask, like, why did you do that? And it's very difficult for anyone who's under 25, 30 years old to comprehend. There existed a time. So let's dial back 20 years. 20 years ago, it's late 90s. There is no such thing as social media. There is no way to easily share all this stuff. It was entirely possible, and it actually happened, that I would go into a small town. I would perform the best show of my life. I would get a standing ovation. And 1 week later, people could not name a single thing I did or a single physical attribute of the guy that they saw. Because like I would go up to many towns and they would say like, oh, magic. I love magic. We had a magician here last year. Oh, who was he? And it's like, I don't remember his name. It's like, what did he look like? I don't know. He had a suit on. And it's, what did he do? It's like, oh, there's something with cards. And so it's like, it very clearly was like, well, I got to have something that sticks, right? So I, for a good long while, I had like long hair past my shoulders, but then I was like, that's not distinctive enough. So I cut the hair and I had bright green hair looking like the Joker. It was like 2 or 3 years. And then finally, I settled on the problem with the green hair is that it was off-putting. Like I would go to a small town in Texas and some good old boys would walk up and be like, what are you trying to prove? And I'm like, that I like the color green? I don't understand it. And so, I needed something that wasn't very off-putting. And so I've always been huge into video games. And so this, one of the iconic things you would see from Japanese video games, whether it's Final Fantasy or Street Fighter 2 or whatever, because it's easy to render, are these insane spiky blonde locks. Mm-hmm. And so I figured out how to make that happen in real life with a little bit of beeswax and a unique cut. And I loved it, man. It was great walking around. Every room I went into, people instantly started smiling. But once we started shooting on video, my day job was to appear on stage where I'm doing this punk rock blood and guts magic show. So it makes sense to have a quirky look. But on camera, when it's the first thing you see, many people would be like, what's this guy trying to prove? And so it wasn't until like 4 or 5 years into being in front of the camera that I'm like, oh, wait, being in front of the camera is my new day job. And the touring is the side gig. So I was finally able to swap and look like a grown up gentleman.
Well, you're a big techie too, aren't you? Because you worked at Dell.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I worked at Dell. I designed high-end computer systems for people. I help people build ISPs and all that stuff. At any given time, I've had two loves. It's either been computers or magic. And when computers was my job, I would come home and do magic. And when magic was my job, I'd come home and do computers.
So I'm a big techie. I'm a video gamer as well. I think everybody is at this stage, because I was around when the Atari and some of the stuff before that was first out, when people didn't, know what that stuff was. But I've grown up playing video games. I'll probably play games to the day I die, and I'm also a big techie person. I also do technology. That's my day job. And I've watched some of your magician shows. It's like I don't think people understand. There's like different aspects of all this stuff that you've done. Obviously with Dell and the high end. Was this by the way, were you involved with like the Alienware side of the stuff or before the buyout?
No, there was a group. Before Alienware got acquired by Dell, there was a time that Dell only did Dell computers. And then at some point they realized, oh, wait, we can make more money if we sell other people's stuff. So they opened up third-party items only under the moniker Dellware. And the problem is their entire sales force was trained just on Dell computers. So occasionally they would, when they would look to customize and people would buy extra stuff, a sales rep would get in over their head when all of a sudden, like somebody who's, working with 3D Studio Max is like, well, I need an OpenGL compliant 3D. I'm looking at the Voodoo 2 from 3DFX. Uh-huh. And then they were like, So there was like basically a crack team of our team called the Dellware Gurus that they would call us. And they were like, hey, can you talk to this person and speak their language? And so we would get on and just say like, all right, what are you trying to do? Oh, have you looked at this? Have you tried these? Okay, no, I'd probably recommend this one. Basically.
Okay. I know, because I've heard you on tech podcasts before. I know I just can't piece the name of which ones you were on exactly, but I've heard you on tech podcasts before.
Yeah. It is kind of funny where it's like nowadays, whenever somebody recognizes me, either from my voice or from my name or from my face, there's this moment where you're like, you're Brian Brushwood. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, and I'm like, where do you know me from? Because I don't know if they think I'm a smart person who knows something about tech or a dumb person who shoves nails in his eyes or a funny person who talks about his butt. It's very weird.
Oh, it's a little everything, I guess.
Yeah.
So like when you're watching, say, David Copperfield or David Blaine or Chris Angel or whoever it may be, are you like the worst spectator in the world? Like, are you just like, come on, I know how they do this?
Nope. I am the best spectator because in so many ways, magicians, like when you find out David Copperfield is coming to your hometown, the first 100 tickets that are sold are going to be to magicians. Nobody loves magic more than magicians. And it's because we're all chasing that high. Now, many magicians can't resist that compulsion to try to figure out how stuff's done. I am the opposite. Like, I want to give you as long of a runway as you need. When you say my name and ask me a question, my eyes will immediately lock with your eyes because I know that's what you want. And I know your hands are doing something out of frame that I can't see, but that's the way you want this to go. And I want you to succeed because all I want in the world is that enchantment, that magical moment of being completely and utterly fooled.
Yeah. It's all about the showmanship, in my opinion. So,
absolutely.
About being entertained.
In fact, somebody told me once that if you know what you're doing, you can rehearse without any of your props and without an audience. And that to me is a testament to the importance of storytelling. Like, if what you have to say is worth listening to, you can say it, whether or not anyone's in the room, whether or not you're actually holding the props or not.
Well, it's true. Yeah, because you have someone like Chris Angel who has this now, at least, has this big, huge stage show. And then you have David Blaine, who's like, watch, so mellow about everything. But yet you really did sit and watch David Blaine with this. Wait a minute, how the hell did he do that? And then, like I say, Chris Angel, you've got with this big, huge stage show. But you have some people that go, I don't like Chris Angel because of that big stage show. I like the smaller David Blaine walking up to a random person and showing them a card trick, which is why I love Scam School so much. I love the fact that you walked in there and you said, hey, you want a beer? You're going to buy me a beer if I do this, or just whatever you did. It made people like myself able to walk up and to do those things. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, buy me a beer for this, but again, I'm nowhere in your league, but I mean, I certainly enjoyed watching Scam School. Wish it was, still doing its thing, but then we switched over to,
whoa. Wish it was still doing its thing. We've not missed a Wednesday in 9 years.
Oh man, Terry, you did it.
What is this?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's me, man. Maybe
he's not he's not a true believer. That's it. I'll just disconnect him out.
What's funny is if I'm overreacting is because you're not the first to say that.
Yeah.
You know what happens is Magic.
Well, it's Switch Networks or something, right?
Yes and no. I mean, it's always been at youtube.com/scamschool and continues. Okay. And we post 2 to 3 videos every week. We're creeping up over 600 episodes and counting. But what happens is that magic is the kind of art that people get deeply into for a certain amount of time, and then they move on to something else, or it's infected them and that's where they live forever. Mm-hmm. And obviously, like, not everybody sticks with magic forever. Usually you get males who get into magic just around the time that puberty hits, because it's something that gives them a structure to interact socially with other people. And then oftentimes they realize, oh, wait, I can have this social interaction without the structure. I don't need these cards or the trick or the excuse or the process to walk people through stuff. And then they move on. So as a result, Scam School is simultaneously half the audience is discovering it for the first time. Right. They're like, the greatest thing I've ever seen. The other half of the audience is asking, whatever happened to Scam School? And the answer, of course, is like, well, you stopped watching. YouTube watched you stop watching. So YouTube stopped bothering to tell you about the new episodes because clearly you weren't watching anymore. So as a result, we have such a big back catalog now that when people discover it, to them, it's an amazing mystery as they dive deeper and deeper in hundreds and hundreds of episodes with all these guest magicians and stuff. And then meanwhile, other people who are now watching The Modern Rogue exactly. Or like, oh, wait, I remember this guy from when I was in junior high or whatever.
Yeah. And maybe that's a bit of my problem here. I did think it went off, and I'm going to tell you why. Because then I was checking you out with Hacking the System, and then I see you with the podcast, and then the modern. Honestly, I didn't think you could do all this. I'm not going to lie.
Where do you find all this time?
Scam School was finished, man. I just thought Scam School was over because you're doing 40 other things. I had no idea.
Yeah, no, you're totally not alone. Because a lot of people, and it's been the Modern Rogue particularly has been a lot of fun for people to watch people discover, because they're like, I always wonder whatever happened to Scam School. And of course, and again, it's the exact same thing with you. I'm like, well, the answer is you stopped being interested in magic and now you're interested in other stuff.
And hacking, because I like the very first episode of Hacking the System. You caught me. Okay, here you are. You're in the back of a trunk. You're doing, go to the car dealership. And I'm not going to lie to you, man. I fell in love with the show immediately, especially the part with the car dealership, because I thought I hate going to the car dealership. And you made that whole point of going in there and showing how you can and you can't do things. And I love it. I love Hacking the System. I think I thought that show was fantastic. I really
so happy to hear that. And, just last month, it was was fun to do it. It was fun to have it appear on National Geographic. It was double fun when it showed up on Netflix, because what was funny is while it was on cable, nobody in my family was terribly impressed. But the moment it showed up on Netflix, my daughter Josie, she was 8 years old at the time. She went to school, and all of a sudden she comes home and she was like, "Dad, you're like famous. You're on Netflix." All right, whatever. But I'm so glad for everything it brought. But just last month it left Netflix and now went to TV Heaven, so you could buy it on Amazon and all those places. But I'll tell you what, man, that folder file of all the original ideas that we brought for hacking the system, like fully 2/3 of them got cut out for being too dangerous, irresponsible, off-brand, blah blah blah. And now we get to do all of them on the Modern Rogue, and it is a total blast.
We're gonna put a link. We're gonna put a link to that on our website, by the way, the Modern Rogue, under your podcast, under thestatementshow.com. So
awesome.
So we'll link out your show. We'll tweet it out, and we'll Facebook it out, and we'll YouTube it out, and we'll just shout it out too. So
shout it from the mountaintops. That's right. Obviously, I mean, I know you don't have a ton of time, and I don't want to hold you, but I do want to, before I do let you go, I do want to talk about the Modern Rogue. That's your new thing you got happening, right?
Yeah, dude. It's still me and Jason, same guys from Hacking the System. We get to try a lot of dangerous, irresponsible stuff. But basically, the Modern Rogue is, look, we're both adults who remember how badass Magnum PI, the A-Team, James Bond, all these archetypes of badassness were when we were kids. And we're on a quest to become the ultimate warrior, gentleman, and scoundrel. So we're learning everything we can and taking you guys along for the adventure.
Oh, wow.
Love it, man. Well, for those guys that aren't 100% familiar with you, tell us where we can find you, Brian.
Head on over to shwood.com. That's SHWOOD. That's the last part of Brushwood. There is no C in Shwood. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Shwood, no C in Shwood. But more importantly, head on over to themodernrogue.com.
Love it, man. Brian, we greatly appreciated you coming on. You've been
absolutely,
excellent,
guys. Thank you so much for having me on. It's a total blast.
Of course, man. We appreciate it. Thank you, and best of luck to you in the future, my man.
You got it, boss.
All right,
take
Brian,
it easy,
thanks.
Brian. Thanks. Modernrogue.com. So I'm going to put that link up on the show for everybody. That's thestatementshow.com, and then you can just click on the podcast link, and right there you can click listen to the link and go to YouTube, and of course you can subscribe to our show. And if you want, you can subscribe to Brian's too, I guess, if that's what you're into.
Yeah, if you're into it, right.
Yeah,
sure,
I mean, if you're into that kind of thing.
Jesus, and I'm being dead serious. I thought Scam School was off. I did. I mean, and for no other reason other than all the 40 other things that he's doing. I mean, honestly, I just thought it was done. I had no clue. That's crazy. But I love his shows. I mean, I really do love his shows.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
and Hacking the System is, oh my goodness. If you haven't, oh my God, I love that show. Oh my goodness. So good. I could have stayed on with him forever though. He's a cool person to talk to. And he makes me feel, I know, like you and I were talking before the show, he makes you feel lazy that all you're doing is a couple things in your life.
God.
And he's got
it's like, podcaster, magician, YouTube, I guess what you call it, YouTube artist, but fantastic. I mean, I'm going to tell you all the stuff that he's done. I feel like, oh my God, what have I been doing? So
nothing. That's just it.
He's like, been on TV, been on Netflix, been on YouTube, been on the Tonight Show, been on Penn and Teller. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh yeah, Brian. Well, I mow my grass. How about that?
Yeah,
Did you mow your grass?
He's like, oh yeah, I did that before I did this.
Oh. Yeah, show off.
And he gets free drinks.
Of course he does.
And scams that out of other people. So, man, I loved him, man. So we're going to, like I said, on thestatementshow.com, we're going to put under the podcast link, very important, the podcast link. You're going to click on his link, listen to his show, and I'll have all the links right there for his Twitter, his website, the Modern Rogue, obviously, because you're going to want to go ahead and check out his YouTube channel and check out his website. But what I liked about watching that Penn and Teller, it was like he stole the show. And really doing that, like that surgery gag with the dollar bills. And I had a lot more I could have talked to him about and hopefully get him back on down the road. But man, I just, it's like you're kind of at a loss what to say because he just kind of takes over. And that's what I really liked about him. He's very, very entertaining. And that's obviously what he does for a living. So
absolutely. I mean, if you've ever seen any of his actual live shows, you would see that he's he's a magician, but he's a comedian. He's a showman. He's just everything. And that's why when Zach and I were talking about bringing him on, we just said, this guy would be a great guest. We've got to have him on. And we were not disappointed. And I hope you guys actually liked him too, and if you have never seen it, it's very easy. Go to YouTube, type in Brian Brushwood. He's there. I promise you're going to love this guy.
Yeah, you're not going to be disappointed at all.
Not at all.
Hey, Terry, so real quick, what I want to do for all the Statement Show listeners, go ahead and tell them how they can find us.
Yeah, absolutely. You can go to our website, thestatementshow.com. Go to Twitter @StatementShow. You can find us on Facebook @TheStatementShow, Instagram @StatementShow. Zach, I know I'm missing.
iTunes,
what do we got?
iTunes, The Statement. So subscribe on there and leave us a review. Most importantly, man, go ahead and check out the links that we put up for Brian Brushwood, man. You won't be sorry. He's extremely entertaining. And hey, what's the worst thing that happen? You get a free drink, right?
Right.
All right. That's a wrap on another episode of The Statement Show, Terry. The lights are out.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to another episode of The Statement Show. Follow us on Twitter @Statement Show. Follow us on iTunes and leave a review, The Statement. And you check out our YouTube channel. And of course, our website, thestatementshow.com. Thanks again, Brian Brushwood. Go check out his website, themodernrogue.com, and his website, shwood.com. SHWOOD.com.
Whoa. Wish it was still doing its thing. We've not missed a Wednesday in 9 years.
Oh, man, Terry, you did it.
What is this? Surprise me. And specifically, I love the way he framed surprise me. He said, put 2 and 2 in front of me, convince me it's 5, and then reveal the truth 4 and blow me away. Yeah. Penn talks and Teller writes polite, insightful emails. That's how you remember the two.
Yeah,
Do
man.
you mow your grass?
He's like, oh, yeah, I did that before I did this.
Show off.
And he gets free drinks.
Flip the switch and you watch the milk wind around my body like I'm a human crazy straw finally going up my nose and shooting out my mouth. But more importantly, head on over to themodernrogue.com.